ADHD is a neurodevelopmental disorder.
ADHD.
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 ADHD is not a disorder. It's a brain wiring issue that gives you a superpower, if you know how to unlock it. Dr. Andrew Huberman. The way people with ADHD experience the world is completely different. And that difference is what can make them extraordinary. Dr. Andrew Huberman. You can rewire your brain, and ADHD is one of the best conditions to do it. Imagine a world where your brain is wired to constantly chase excitement, but focus on boring tasks feels like a battle you can't win. What if I told you that the very thing that makes it hard for you to focus could actually be the key to unlocking your true potential? Sounds crazy, right? But hold on. ADHD is not what you think it is. In fact, it could be the brain's secret superpower that's been misunderstood for years. It's not just about being distracted or hyperactive. ADHD is a neurobiological condition that rewires your brain to work in ways that can actually give you an edge over others. Yes, you heard me right. ADHD isn't just a disorder, it's a different way of thinking, a different way of processing the world, and it's time we finally understand it. Some of the most successful people in history, people who changed the world, had ADHD. You've heard of Richard Branson, the founder of Virgin? Even Albert Einstein, the man who revolutionized our understanding of the universe, is suspected to have had ADHD. Why? Because their brains worked differently, and they used that difference to their advantage. Let's dive into the science and see how this disorder is actually a brain hack that's gone wrong. Dr. Andrew Huberman, a neuroscientist and professor at Stanford University, has been shedding light on the real truth behind ADHD. And trust me, the truth will shock you. ADHD is actually about how your brain processes information. Imagine trying to focus on something that doesn't excite you, but your brain is constantly craving something more stimulating. A brain that's hardwired to seek excitement and novelty. And when it doesn't get that, it starts to shut down or get distracted. This is the first shocking truth. ADHD is a dopamine problem. Dopamine is the brain's feel-good chemical. It controls motivation, attention, and reward. In people with ADHD, the brain doesn't get enough dopamine in the areas that control focus and attention. It's like trying to drive a car without enough fuel. You're moving, but you're not going anywhere fast. And here's the kicker. This is why people are constantly seeking out new, exciting experiences. Their brains are wired to crave dopamine hits, and when they don't get them, they lose interest. That's why focusing on boring tasks feels like torture. A brain that's constantly seeking stimulation is also incredibly good at hyperfocus. That's right. People with ADHD can lock into something that excites them so deeply that they lose track of time. It's not just distraction, it's intense focus, but only when the task is engaging enough to trigger that dopamine response. That's why people with ADHD often thrive in creative fields, in fast-paced environments, or in situations where they're constantly being challenged. Their brains are built to adapt to new information quickly. But when it comes to routine, boring tasks, that's when things get tricky. Dr. Andrew Huberman's mind-blowing insights. Now, let's break down the science behind ADHD, because Dr. Huberman's insights will completely change the way you think about this condition. According to him, ADHD is a brain wiring issue. It's not about being lazy or unmotivated. It's about the brain's dopamine system not functioning the way it should. The prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that controls focus, planning, and impulse control, isn't as active in people with ADHD. This means that staying on task is harder because the brain isn't getting the signals it needs to keep going. And here's where it gets even more fascinating. Dr. Huberman explains that ADHD isn't just about a lack of dopamine. It's also about how the brain reacts to dopamine. People with ADHD have a different dopamine reward system. When they're doing something boring, their brain doesn't get the reward it craves. But when they're doing something exciting or challenging, their brain lights up like a Christmas tree. How to turn ADHD into a superpower. Dr. Huberman isn't just a scientist. He's also a coach for how to optimize your brain. Here's how you can take control of your ADHD and start using it to your advantage. Number 1. Exercise, the dopamine boost. You've heard it 1,000 times, but here's the science behind it. Exercise, especially cardio, releases dopamine. It's like hitting the reset button for your brain. Dr. Huberman recommends getting at least 30 minutes of exercise every day to help regulate your dopamine levels. And the best part, this boost in dopamine makes it easier to focus and feel motivated. Number 2. Sleep, the ultimate focus. Sleep is the ultimate brain hack, especially for people with ADHD. Dr. Huberman says that sleep isn't just for rest, it's for brain repair. When you sleep, your brain clears out the clutter and recharges the areas that control focus. Without good sleep, your ADHD symptoms can get worse. So, if you want to improve focus and productivity, make sleep a priority. Number 3. Nutrition. Feed your brain. Your brain needs the right fuel to function properly. Dr. Huberman recommends eating foods rich in omega-3 fatty acids, like walnuts and flax seeds, to help improve brain health. A balanced diet helps keep your dopamine levels steady, so you're not constantly fighting for focus. Number 4. Mindfulness. Rewire your brain. Meditation and breathing exercises have been shown to increase activity in the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for focus and impulse control. These practices can help calm the chaos in your brain and improve your ability to stay on task. This isn't a curse. It's a brain that's built for action. And once you understand how your brain works, you can use it to your advantage.